A towering wall of dust rolled through Metro Phoenix on Monday with storms that left tens of thousands of people without power and delayed flights at the city airport. According to Associated Press, more than 55,000 people were without power in Arizona, most of whom were in Maricopa County, which includes Phoenix, according to poweroutage.us. Aerial footage of the dust storm in Pinal County was captured by ABC15 Arizona. Motorists hurried home through strong winds and rain as the dust storm approached. Commonly referred to as a haboob, it can make driving on roads nearly impossible. Departures from the Phoenix Sky Harbor International Airport were delayed on average about an hour and a half due to thunderstorms, according to the Federal Aviation Administration.
Since Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine in 2022, many Russians have fled the country. These migrants, who include those fleeing political repression, avoiding military conscription, and opposing the war, have relocated to various destinations. This outflow is considered the largest exodus of Russians in the past 30 years, primarily driven by the war and conscription efforts. According to various estimates, between 500,000 and 1.3 million people left Russia in the first year of the Ukrainian war. Russians moved mainly to visa-free countries: Armenia, Georgia, Azerbaijan, Turkey, Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, the UAE, and Mongolia. The state hides the fact of emigration and reports that the migration flow in the first 6 months of 2022 amounted to only 96.7 thousand people, which was even less than the pre-COVID figures. After the start of the war in Ukraine, the United States unexpectedly became the first country in which Russians applied for asylum en masse. According to incomplete figures, 48,000 Russians moved to this country. Those who went to Israel are mainly of Jewish origin. Musavat.com represents the top 5 countries where Russians currently live the most. The United Arab Emirates has long been a country where not only the rich live. Tens of thousands of Russians have moved to Dubai and Sharjah. They work here, do business, and gain status by opening companies. Moving here is not living like a sheikh, but a legalized way to work peacefully abroad. Renting an apartment starting at $1,000 is nothing in this country, from income to taxes. Russians choose this country not only because it is tax-free, it is both safe and has a stable economy. According to recent data, 100,000 Russians have moved to Georgia, and about 70,000 of them have already settled permanently in this country. Russians choose this place because their language is understandable, the climate is mild, and the food is delicious. And the price of renting an apartment here starts at just $300. Kazakhstan has been among the top 3 countries where Russians have settled the most in the last 3 years. Official statistics on permanent immigrants to this country have not been released, but hundreds of thousands of Russians have crossed the border since the war. The second country where Russians have settled the most in the last 3 years is our brotherly Turkey. 150,000 Russians have already received residence permits here. According to Russians, this is a tourist destination, but it is also very convenient to live. Russians already have their own schools, clinics, and law offices in Alanya, Antalya, and Istanbul. Tens of thousands of Russians live there without plans to return. The country where Russians emigrated the most after the war is Serbia. 300,000 have emigrated here. Belgrade is already called the new Russian Vilnius. Serbia is not a member of the European Union. It is a nation close to Russians. There is visa-free entry for this country, and rental houses are no more than $250. As for the Asian continent, there are no official statistics, but tens of thousands of Russians live in Thailand, Vietnam, Indonesia, and Sri Lanka. Here, too, there are simplified visa regimes. Apartment rent starts at $200, and food is mostly kopecks. Most of those who have left Russia over the past 3 years are in their late 20s and mid-40s, globally minded and highly skilled. They come from Russia's biggest cities, Moscow and St. Petersburg, and predominantly work in the IT sector, academia, media, education, and the arts. Most left with accumulated savings and speak fluent English. 8 out of 10 hold higher education degrees, while 1 in 10 has a PhD.
Wildfires in California wine country and Central Oregon grew overnight, prompting hundreds of evacuations as firefighters worked Sunday to try to contain the blazes amid dry, hot weather. According to Associated Press, the Pickett fire in Napa County had grown to more than 10 square miles and was 11% contained as of early Sunday, according to the California Department of Forestry and Fire Protection. About 190 people were ordered to leave their homes, while another 360 were under evacuation warnings as the fire threatened about 500 structures near Etna Springs and Pope Valley, said Jason Clay, spokesman for CAL FIRE Sonoma Lake Napa unit. More than 1,230 firefighters backed by 10 helicopters were battling the fire, which began Thursday after a week of extremely hot weather. The cause of the fire is still under investigation. Residents of the western United States have been sweltering in a heat wave that hospitalized some people, with temperatures forecast to hit dangerous levels throughout the weekend in Washington, Oregon, Southern California, Nevada, and Arizona. Clay said the weather has moderated since the fire broke out, with Sunday's high expected to be 94 degrees. But as the day goes on, humidity levels were expected to drop and the winds to pick up in the afternoon. The fire began in the same area as the much larger Glass Fire in 2020, which crossed into Sonoma County and eventually burned about 105 square miles and more than 1,500 structures. That fire was driven by wind, while the current fire is fueled by dry vegetation on steep slopes, some of it dead and down trees left over from the Glass Fire and some of it grass and brush that grew back and then dried out again, said Clay.
That glove on, right?